Good evening, and welcome back to the weird and the wonderful with Strange Bones. That's me. So yeah, Shallistar, welcome. So as we get going, Livy, welcome. Anna, welcome. We're going to start off by giving you a bit of an idea of where we are now, so to speak, and how we got to where we are. So we started off by attempting to do a live on the mysterious things beneath the ocean, and I really thought it was going to end up to be a discussion on whether or not mermaids exist, and certainly it covered that. But as we discovered going along, we realized that what really is down there is actually far more freaky and more worrying than anything that the imagination might conjure up, and that in fact Mother Nature doesn't follow the rules that science says she should. She does as she likes with what she puts down there. So we kind of got to the point where if there are mermaids really under the ocean, that's probably the least terrifying thing that might be there. So there's that. But of course it led us to a number of other questions which I think might be quite interesting, mainly surrounding conspiracy theories and what people think might be going on. Is any of it true? Well, geesh, I honestly don't know. Kagan Subgo, welcome. I think it would be fair to say that you have to make your own opinion on all of these conspiracies. I certainly don't personally ascribe to most of them. Some of them are really wacky. People have strange ideas. But the reality, it seems, is far weirder. At least when it comes to the ocean. So, yeah, on that note, we are going to be looking into something a little bit more conspiracy theory heavy tonight, but still on the theme of the oceans. And yeah, with that said, I'm going to point out that if you've got any theories, absolutely throw them onto the comments. Give your opinions. The wackier the better, why the heck not? We do this for fun. And with that said, I'm going to point out that on this channel you can agree, you can disagree, you can say what you like. We will come to that because that's one of the things we need to talk about, Kagan. You can have whatever opinion you like, but we have one rule, and the rule is be polite. Don't be rude. If you're rude, we give you the boot. Some people really believe this stuff. Some people don't. We allow everybody their own opinion thereon. We are absolutely going to talk about if there even is an ice wall. There's lots of opinions and certain ideas that require you to believe certain things, it seems. So we're absolutely going to be checking these things out, and I want to give a shout out to a couple of people before we begin, one of which has just joined us and sent us a rose. So shout out to one of our big supporters and a much loved friend there, Mickey Mew, who has just joined us. So yeah, get on here. But a shout out to those others that are solid supporters of us. Hey Mickey, how are you? I'm doing all right. It's got really cold. What the heck is going on?
I know, right? It's freezing.
And the weird thing is, yesterday was 35.
Yeah.
I'm
The
like,
weather's crazy.
yeah, it's either freezing or boiling. Pick one and run with it. Come on.
Yeah, this morning I woke up, I almost died.
Absolutely. So,
Total hurricane change.
and of course, rain and all the rest of it. And look, we need the rain, that's true. But come on,
Yeah, it's
try,
not even. Yeah,
consistency would be nice.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
So, yeah, before we begin, as I say, shout out to Mickey. Thank you for your continued support. Also, shout out to our other big supporters, which includes Ender Thoughts and Spooky Streamer Thought, who often join us, and Caleb, who I don't know if he'll join us tonight. He might. So, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And young Jaden, crazy as he is. So, in our last one, we attempted to get onto the strange things beneath the ocean. And yeah, as we discovered, what really is beneath the ocean is far stranger than most things, which worries me a little bit. The size of those squids and the giant saltwater crocodiles, that kind of put me off a bit. Makes swimming a bit dodgy.
yeah.
Were you on for Deep Blue?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
The
so
only thing I see recently was about the crazy ass squid, but
well,
I don't know.
thanks to Len for the likes there. Yeah, as we are beginning, do like, share, subscribe, do all of the good things. Send lots of gifts. We rely on you for our support so we can keep the channel going. So, with all of that, do all the good things. And remember, likes are free, so load them on. But with that said, so Deep Blue is a great white shark. It is real, it is confirmed by science, it is genuine, and apparently there's a second one whose name escapes me off the top of my head, both of which are 6 meters long. Now, these are
Really?
confirmed by science, not made up, not people's stories, actually confirmed by science. 6 meters long. That could eat you in a snap.
Where did they see these?
Fortunately, I believe they were sort of away from us, around Jamaica and that kind of
Okay.
area. Though we have not too far away the saltwater crocodiles, the biggest
Yeah,
of which was 7.5 meters.
yeah, they.
And luckily, again, that's around Australia. So I'm feeling a bit better about our waters here.
Still, I still would risk swimming in the ocean at this point. Then, I mean,
Well, I
personally.
mean, think about it. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to a crocodile park. I certainly have. Have you, Mickey?
Yes, I have, but still, I wouldn't.
And I mean, those ones are little. They're like,
They're small, but they could
a
still
couple of
definitely.
meters only, but still, they could do you a serious harm.
Yeah,
Imagine one that is 6 meters long.
exactly. So I don't think I want to swim in the sea.
Well, there's
Whether it's gonna be
apparently.
a shark or a snake or a freaking
Oh, we haven't even got
alligator.
onto the snakes.
It's not it.
The most deadly land snake, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but last I checked, was called a taipan. You get them somewhere in the Asian countries, I believe Indonesia, and it has enough venom to kill like 30 or 40 people. Okay. Apparently, land snakes at their highest are only a third as poisonous as some of the sea snakes.
Oh shit. That's
So yeah, just throwing it out there. And
it's
added to that, let's make it worse for you, Mickey. Let's make it worse. We've only physically explored 5% of the ocean floor.
I'm so happy living in my house with this much greenery.
Right? Suddenly being at home, has a certain amount of
I'm totally cool
attraction.
with that. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks. No more.
throwing it out there.
Seriously.
Home has a lot of appeal suddenly. So yeah, we're going to stay with that. We're doing all
Yeah,
right
I
on
think so.
land,
For sure.
but we did
No more complaining.
progress in our discussions, and we've got a couple of things that have come up, including one which KG Subco brought up about the ice wall, which we will talk about actually first, I think, because I did do a whole ton of research on this. Now, here's the problem. Well, I don't. Maybe it's not a problem to you. I don't know. But here is one of the first things that is important about the concept of the ice wall. It implies also that you believe that the Earth is flat. So if you don't believe the Earth is flat, the entire ice wall theory doesn't work. However,
Yeah.
However, there is plenty of conspiracy that says that the ice wall theory is true. The fact that the Earth is a sphere is entirely a government cover-up and conspiracy, which, should it be true, means that we have a set of concentric circles that make up the world, and our bit is just the middle bit. And if you go beyond the ice wall which surrounds us, there are other continents and more, according to the theory. Now, this is why you're not allowed to go to Antarctica. The Arctic's fine because that's the bit in the middle. It's the Antarctic that's the problem, that you can't go beyond. They do say scientifically we don't go there because there is basically nothing there. The South Pole,
What?
literally, yeah. The North Pole's got land. The South Pole doesn't
Okay.
really.
Okay, so if you don't believe in the world being round, you can't go there.
Well, the theory explains that the Earth is actually a flat disk, and the reason they say that there's nothing there and you can't go there, etc., is because it's actually an ice wall that surrounds the whole of what we know as the world. And
Oh.
beyond that, there are more continents where the elite, more powerful, etc., live. And we're like some kind of experiment this side.
Oh,
That's the theory of the ice wall.
okay. That's cool.
Yes, but it does imply you have to believe the Earth is flat.
I see. And how do you believe?
Well,
Sorry.
here's maybe this is a bad way to think about it, but this is my opinion. Whether we live on a round world or a flat world with things beyond, the chance of me going that side is pretty slim. So,
Yeah.
will it change my life at all if either the theory is true or not? Because I'm never going there.
Yeah.
So, in part, I'm kind of like, it's not coming here. We're
Don't
kind
worry
of
about it.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot
Excuse
there.
you.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
it's a fair question, but
Right,
I
right.
honestly don't know that it would change my life if it turned out to be true.
Hmm.
Whereas if I find out that there were giant megalodon sharks in the sea in which I do like to swim, that
Yeah, then
might
a
have a
different one.
serious impact on me. So I'm a little bit more worried about that. It's
Yeah.
like if aliens really do exist and they're an intelligent species and can come here, that would affect me very greatly
Yeah.
because they might potentially
Be
come
like,
and do something.
yeah.
So I'd be more worried about that. So as
Mm-hmm.
KG Subco says, what we think of as the Earth is the center of a vaster, flat world with a lot more continents out there where
Yeah.
there are other peoples, possibly other beings, other animals, plants, whatever. Now, one theory that I read, and I don't know how you might take it, you've heard of the Voynich manuscript. We have discussed it once or twice. So, for those of you that don't know, the Voynich manuscript is this really weird book that they found that apparently may have, it's so old, at least a copy may have been owned by Alexander the Great. So it goes back a while. Okay. The problem is nobody can understand the book. It's written in a language nobody knows. It's got drawings of things that make no sense, plants that don't exist. Hey, Spooky, welcome, welcome. There's whole sections in it, but the problem that makes it even more weird is that it's laid out in a very logical way. The language, such as it might be, that cannot be read, has a pattern to it, like a proper language. It's not gibberish. Yet we cannot figure out what it says.
That's crazy, right?
Right. Now, one of the theories that matters is that this is actually a book from outside the ice wall. And therein is one of the proofs that the ice wall exists.
That's weird. Wow, that's weird stuff.
So there you are. Huge thanks to Spooky for the liking of the live. Yes. So, yeah, there are several things. Another thing was that actually the Antikythera device came from out there because they're supposed to be far more technological than us. So there's that. And if you ever were to go there, now there was a story that somebody shared of a boat that went out there, it got knocked off course by a storm or something, and it went out there, and these people turned up and just like reprovisioned them and sent them back that way, the correct way, sorted them out and sent them on. And they were like, but they were dressed different to anybody. They clearly had a language nobody understood. You know, what the hell was that? But nobody believed them.
Yeah, of course not. I do believe the world is just bigger than what we think. Because, I mean, you know.
Well, this is, okay, first to KG's comment. I don't think it needs be a lot bigger. We haven't finished exploring it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So,
More
you know, there's a
that-
100% mix. There's more out there we know nothing about.
Yeah.
So right off bat,
Like even in the ocean. I mean, the ocean hasn't been explored to like
hardly at
extent.
all.
So people that, I mean, it's kind of scary.
Well, it is.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, even nowadays. So just to give you a little scientific bit of knowledge, if you will, they now have a thing called LiDAR. Now, to put it in, I'm dumb and I don't know a great deal about science type language for me. LiDAR basically means kind of like radar, but it can do infrared as well. But most importantly, it's done from satellite, which means you can get over anywhere in the world and scan. Even with LiDAR, we've only managed to map 27% of the ocean. The rest is too deep. We can't do it properly. So, yeah, we haven't even mapped our own ocean. Now, just another Mayor Day asks, how do we look when we go to heaven? Well, that's a hard one for me to answer because number one, um, I've never met anyone that's been and come back. I have not been and come
There,
back.
yeah, there has been people who have claimed to have
Well,
passed on.
yeah, but did they go to heaven or a
Yeah,
pre-staging
you
place?
can't really say.
It's kind of difficult. We know that a number of religions around the world will say that you still have a body, including Christian religions, including Judaism, including Islam. So they say that you will have a body. What that body will be like, I would like to think, at least if it's heaven, it wouldn't be the one I've got because this one's getting old and breaking down and, the knees are going a bit. I'd like a decent one. If you're going to spend
Yeah.
an eternity, I'd like a good one, please. I don't know.
But we were created in God's what God's
God's image. That's what they say.
but if you're Christian, you believe in that. If not, then
Well,
I, I
a lot of religion, not just Christianity, say that we are in the image at least. But then again, what does that mean? Are we talking the physical image, the spiritual image, the mental image?
yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, immediately we have argument.
You have to think about what you need. I know it. Yeah, I know. That's not.
Now, when it comes to that, and maybe this is a cop out, but I've always believed that pretty much all religions say that there's nothing you can do to get to heaven anyway, and what happens after death is God's job. Which means my only concern is this world. The rest belongs to God. It's his problem, okay? So that means my only job is to worry about living as humanly as possible. If I can be as human as I can be, what happens afterwards, that's God's problem. So I don't actually need to worry. Maybe that's a
Yeah,
cop
I
out.
pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, I believe I'm a Christian. I believe that I live in God's faith. I mean, believe towards other people. I treat other people who I believe
But
God
exactly.
would want me
Well,
to. I would never
here,
be mean. I would not
here's the
hurt
thing.
people.
You've read what they call the Ten Commandments, right?
Yeah,
How many of them have to do with God?
none of them are
Two.
really. It's just about. But that's the thing. In Christianity, you can't base it on God only. You can base it on a lot of different religions, which
Well,
the religions are all the same.
that's my point. There are two that deal with God. All of the others deal with you being a decent human being.
It's just being humane and taking care of others
Right.
and
So clearly, even God is telling you, spend your time being a decent human being and leave the rest for God, which I reckon is
as
a
a
pretty.
Christian,
Yeah,
the
but
reason I the reason I am a Christian is believe I don't go to church. I won't lie to you. Because my faith in church has broken over the years, big time.
well,
I have my relationship with God, and it stayed strong for many years.
yeah,
Um,
but it's the
but
humanity.
yeah, it's the humanity, it's the love that God gives you that you give on to
Right.
others. I think.
Now, DM Dream says that when I was a practicing Christian, I always viewed it as our souls were made to look like God, not the physical body. That is one of the arguments, and I can tell you as somebody who is actually a qualified trained priest, though I was not ordained at the end, that how we are in the image of God is still argued theologically. So take that. Spooky Stream of Thought says if we're made in God's image, then God is deeply flawed. He has a point, but then I would say it doesn't say that we were made like God, but in his image. So it
Yeah.
might be we are
Right.
a flawed version of what
Oh
God
God,
is,
yeah.
which is the other argument. I'm not saying that you're
I
wrong,
know, but yeah, it makes sense though
but
as well.
to be fair and to view both sides. Now, do you
Yeah.
believe that you were a giant in your past lives? No.
That's a good, interesting one.
First of all, we would have to assume that I believe in past lives. I'm on the fence about whether or not there are. A lot of religions say that we have multiple lives, after which, having learnt enough, we then move on to what's next. Some say you only get one go, Christianity being one of them. Judaism
Yeah.
gives one of them. Islam, only one chance. Get it right or sorted. I must admit that in general terms, I have a problem with most religions' view of how it ought to be and most religions' view of what God is. Because there are serious issues that are, I would say, more clearly human issues than divine issues about the view of God. In terms of a giant, yes, Bookie has a point. What is a giant? The average height of a human being in Britain, call it 1,000 years ago, was between 3.5 to 4 feet tall. That was the average height. That's true. I am 6 foot tall. If I were to go back there then, as I am, I would be a giant. So it's a matter of comparison. A giant compared to whom?
Okay, that's kind of
You
interesting.
know,
Yeah.
I went to the Tower of London where they showed us a suit of armor worn by a full-grown man who was a soldier back in the medieval times, which wasn't that long ago. And at the age of 8, it was my height. It was a lot broader, so they were stocky and powerful men, but they were not tall. So, it does compare.
Yeah, you can.
It's going to make a difference. Thanks for the follow their DM dreams, I do appreciate. But with that said, we are going to blame this entire live on Spooky Streamer Thought because he got me thinking
Oh, yeah.
on some stuff that we are going to get into, which of course is going to be suitably wacky. And
Sure.
you might not believe in any of it, but I did some research and it got interesting. Another thing that we forget in the modern world very quickly is that until very recently, historically, people didn't travel. The
Oh, yeah,
mere
for
fact,
sure.
yeah, my grandmother never went more than 50 miles from her
Yeah,
house,
that wasn't a
ever.
thing, eh?
No, it wasn't. So when they talk about the great explorers, it wasn't merely that they went out and found things. It was the fact that they went out. It was
Yeah,
fairly
for sure.
unbelievable. The Vikings, for example, were a terrible anomaly. Bless you. Okay.
Not
Because
bad.
when they went Viking, bless you,
I'm so sorry.
you're allergic to weird. When they went
Apparently.
Viking, they went hundreds of miles from home. which was like mind-blowing. People didn't do stuff like that. You just didn't. So it was kind of one of those weird situations. People just didn't know what was out there. You didn't leave your coastline in case you fell off the edge of the earth. One of the amazing and great things about the Portuguese sailors was the fact that they went beyond the line of the horizon, and so did the Vikings. So for their time, the Portuguese sailors and the Vikings were insane. You didn't do stupid things like that. You were guaranteed to die. So the world was a lot smaller from the point of view of everybody else back then. So there's more to understanding this. If you go far enough back, I mean, when you talk about Greece in the modern day, we're talking about a specific country with specific borders and. Back in the day, it was a city, nothing else. One city. And there were far less people than we get now. So if you had a place where there was 1,000 people, that was massive. I mean, nowadays, even the village where I live has way more than 1,000 people in it, and we just consider it a village. So,
Crazy.
yeah, we've got to change our brains slightly when we talk historically to understand that things were different. But we're going to round off, because we didn't, because we did get onto mermaids and things and the possibility of their existence, rah. So who actually ever said that there were aquatic humanoid creatures? Ultimately, the answer is anybody that could dip a toe into the ocean has a story of something like that. And even a couple that were nowhere near the ocean have stories of that. So to finish off, if you will, the idea of mermaids or something like that, Spooky, you've missed something in your question. When did the get to England? How did the people get to England? Well, bear in mind, if you stand on the White Cliffs of Dover and you look out, you can see the coast of France without any special aids, with your own eyes. It ain't that far.
I don't think he necessarily meant that. Question: when did I get to England?
There are people who have swum the English Channel, just swum across. So it's not so far as to be a problem getting there. And we know that a couple of people did get there and beat up the locals and take over on regular basis. Spooky.
Okay, now you've answered my question. Now I just wanted to know, how did the indigenous people get to England?
Well, who were the indigenous? Because therein lies the problem. The original indigenous people that were there were probably Homo floresiensis, which were a very small people, and they didn't leave there. They got wiped out or assimilated by people that came after them. It's reasonably possible to assume that Homo floresiensis, the smallest of the Brittonic tribes, were taken out by the children of Danu, who came across from the continent, after they came and pretty much either wiped out or assimilated the locals, you then had the Celts who came across. The Celts then took over and were the major people for a long time. Then you had actually the Romans come across, but they got eventually kicked out, followed by the Normans, who were French, of course, and eventually either they became assimilated or they got kicked out. And then you got the modern Britons, which by and large, because of the way the world has gone, are from all over the world. So what is British anymore? We're not really sure. We know that these days Britain is a Muslim country and there are less white people in Britain than other races.
Sure.
Okay, so I just searched. Yeah, no. England was part of the bigger continent about 10 to 6,000 years BC. It's about
Yes,
8,000 years ago.
there was a
That's
land
really
bridge across of some kind. So the original Homo floresiensis, which they've now found skeletons and things in islands to the north of England, little fragmented islands that would have been part of the bigger whole that was part of the continent back in the day, showing that those that were there, they were very little people. They were not metal users at all, so they never even made it into the Bronze Age. They were Stone Age only. They used flint arrowheads for hunting, which they poisoned with digitalis. They actually had a lot in common in their methodology of living with the San people of South Africa. Not warriors, hunters, hunter-gatherers, that kind of a thing.
What did you call them? And are they ancestors or different species?
Homo floresiensis, as opposed to Homo sapien, the more that I've examined things, I've gone away from the idea that we have a single origin for humanity in the world. I don't believe it's true. And I have a lot of reasons why, where science is lacking in explaining things, such as, how can I have two different races that live almost next to each other that are very different, and then you tell me, no, it was geographical influence that made one race one way and another other race the other way?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
call
That doesn't make
bullshit on
sense.
that.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense.
Whereas if you,
It's breeding.
No, but you
breeding.
can't.
it's not
not
just
way.
breeding. So if you posit a separate origin, then that would make sense. Now, if you take, say, a Korean and put him next to a Japanese, there's clear similarities. Okay, Asians come from a origin. That I can believe. But next to a European, most Europeans, you will agree, are pretty much the same. They have one origin, but you stand one next to a Korean and you can see one is not Asian. Now we've found several different DNA strands in,
Koreans, Asians look different. There's a
yes,
whole different bunch of Asians. You've got the
there
Indians and
but there are certain specifics. So if I talk what I would consider as true Asians, not including the Indians, Asians have the epicanthic fold in their eyes, for example. Chinese, Japanese, Korean, all of that, they have an epicanthic fold. They clearly have a common origin.
If you look at North Korea and South Korea, North Koreans look a bit darker than the South Koreans.
Yes, but there will be geographic influence, absolutely. Um, but there will be major traits, if that makes sense. So all of the Amerindian people, while they do look quite different in many ways, they all have a certain base structure that's clearly Native American. All Asians have a certain base structure that's clearly Asian.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So common origin does make sense within
Yeah, for
that.
sure. Yeah.
Even in Africa, the people don't really look like one another. I mean, everybody looks different.
To a certain degree,
The different
yes.
tribes.
Um, to a certain degree, that there are tribal differences and breeding differences and geographical differences, so you will get changes, and breeding does make a major difference in that regard. We see that, but major structural differences, I don't believe that's. I think, I mean, we've got that. There's the Slavic origin in that. What's that? Denisovian man. The sort of the English side of things in Homo floresiensis. You've got a very distinct Nordic look that's quite different to the Slavic, and their countries are right next to each other. So I would say that the Nordic groups obviously have a similar origin. Your Asiatic has a similar origin. Your Indian has a similar origin. Most of your African, but not all your African. Certain African tribes are very similar. Your sort of Bantu type groupings, which are mostly Central Africa, are all very similar. But you
I've
compare
actually got
them.
a I've actually got a little a sister and a brother-in-law. Well, brother and sister. He's half Indian, half colored,
Okay.
and then the sister, she is half colored and Indian. I'm pretty struggling to figure out what, because when she was adopted, they didn't put on her adopted certificate what she was. So that was kind of confusing for her.
Yeah, I imagine it would make
Yeah.
a difference.
We've been trying to figure out for half few years.
Well, they say that DNA would be able to explain it.
Her hair type is kind of like colored, I think. It's not quite as frizzy as an
Now, KG Subco says that this proves that we come from the world outside the ice wall, or outside the Earth, maybe. So the Earth is definitely flat because we're not all the same race. Well, there's a couple of conspiracies surrounding. That's one of them. Others say that different alien groups came and made their own versions of Weckers, and that's how you got different human races. One theory says that we're actually just not from this planet at all. But we're going to get into those. So initially, and seeing as we're doing as crazy as, and this is your
What is
fault,
that?
Spooky, we're talking about underwater things. So the ocean is our theme at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't realize.
But nevertheless, because one theory is that actually all humanity came from ocean. Um,
Oh, dude, I sent you a message. You must go look at it sometime. If it goes about under the ocean, you'll definitely appreciate it.
I will definitely do that then. That is awesome. So aliens from around the world, not outer space? Well, maybe. Some say the aliens came here, have been here all along, and they just keep us in the middle bit to corral us. So
Oh,
that's one thing. Now, first question. Is it possible to have an underwater city? That's the first question. So I went and did some research on this, and the answer is a proper underwater city has not been built yet. However, we have a couple of companies, not necessarily governments, but private companies, that are trying to do this. So it's on the cards. Okay. So Project Deep, there's a very flooded quarry in the UK where they are building a modular 3D printed steel set of habitats called Sentinels in order to see if they can create a permanent underwater settlement for both research and training. So they are building such a thing.
That's interesting.
The Shimizu Corporation, which I believe is Japanese, has ocean spirals, which is a kind of spiral-shaped structure that they're developing as a solution to live underwater to avoid climate change and sea level rise. But they haven't put it into proper construction yet. They say that early experiments with underwater habitats, such as Project SPID from the 1960s, said that you can live underwater very successfully for extended periods. We also know that the Muraka in the Maldives are luxury hotels with underwater suites. However,
Wow.
however,
Just to let, sorry,
yes,
just to interrupt. Sorry. Just to let you know, there is an anime called Japan Sinks.
yes, it's a
Uh,
topic people are
Yeah.
definitely thinking about.
So if you like that type of thing,
Well, there you go. Now, what are the challenges and problems with living underwater? Well, the first problem is it's bloody expensive.
yeah, for
So
sure.
there is that. Because you've got to overcome a number of things. If you're in the upper levels of the ocean, you have currents, storms, waves, all of that kind of stuff to deal with. Okay. So it would be expensive. If you go deeper, you have immense water pressure and the problem of sustainment, because you would need a self sustaining environment, which we haven't mastered yet. Also, saltwater corrosion is a major problem, and we are not quite that good yet for permanent underwater cities. So there is that. I'm not sure what KG is asking about scale. Please explain a little further on that. So the technology isn't there yet. I'm just throwing it out there. Secondly, logistics. Managing basic needs, food, water, waste management for a large population would be a major logistical challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you manage to solve things like packaging and rubbish, where are you going to send the sewage?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That would be a problem. Okay, so Subco is basically saying, is it possible that there is a being bigger than me that was made by a being bigger than them, that was made by a being bigger than them? Well, one theory, which is a sort of speculative foolishness that was raised by quantum scientists, actually, which said that if you look at the structure of the universe, it's very similar to the structure of atoms. What if we are merely atoms inside a larger universe?
Sorry, I don't mean to be like.
No, but when you start thinking like that, your brain sort of hotwires itself, and you're like,
You're
hold
like,
on.
oh God, I'm gonna be thinking the rest of my life.
So,
Or there are universes in every atom.
well, that's the other way of doing it. So essentially, it's like we are the fleas on a dog, and the dog is the flea on a bigger animal. That is the flea on a bigger animal, and we're just in this massive sort of line of things. So,
Then what do you do? What do you do about that flea on the dog?
well,
You
I don't
like,
know. You hope it doesn't get defleed.
yeah, you just hope there's no dog spray that's gonna fix them.
Because, well, that's the thing. Are we merely one level in multiple levels? Okay, now, quantum physics would imply, and I'm talking massively theoretical here, that such a thing is possible. I don't know.
It's not quantum physics. Like I think it's very much possible.
Well, quantum physics has been now applied not just to physics itself, but to a number of other things. So you get quantum cosmology. If you want to try and understand that, and if you are really, 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 really bored and possibly way more intelligent than me, go and read a book called Schrodinger's Kittens, and it will explain all of that to you. I read it, I did not understand it.
I've also read it.
It's
It's
a
supposed to be like a kitty cat or be like beautiful.
well, the idea is Schrodinger brought up the concept of the quantum philosophy.
It's only there when you look at it.
Yes, but more than that, the idea of quantum evolution and everything. Now, Schrodinger's kittens are where they've taken the theories he started with and applied them to all the other sciences and stuff. Those are Schrodinger's kittens.
Okay.
But it gets really technical. So you can have a quantum version of social theory. I don't know how
Yeah.
that would work.
But what? No, but the
Yeah,
point
I
is
also don't
all
understand.
this, right? All this studying and all this trying to get to understand what the freak is happening in this person's brain. Is it worth it?
That is arguable.
Is it helping you as an actual person?
Me
Versus
personally,
saying-
not even slightly.
That's the thing.
Humanity in general, I don't know. I don't understand it.
Because this is the unending, like this thing, like everything AI and all this. It's like it's melding
Well,
into a
if
big world.
if you're old enough, then you will understand the meme where you've got that thing that says Sarah Connor watching us use ChatGPT. If you get it, you get it.
Let me put it this way: I think there's a lot of people who are gonna end up in a mental hospital one day thinking,
Well,
"What the fuck happened?"
funny you should say that, because here is the last reason why you would have a problem living underwater. Psychological and physiological factors, long-term habitation would require solutions for the psychological stresses of isolation that you would have to live under, and certain physiological adaptations to a different environment, which implies that if mermaids don't exist now, maybe they will have to in the future, and we will make them. And they will be
They will
us.
probably have to. It's like, living in isolation. I mean, there's so many things.
Right?
It's just none of this makes sense to me. I
No.
won't even lie. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Don't worry. I have literally got a degree in philosophy, and I studied quantum philosophy, and I don't understand it.
I won't tell you. I won't lie to you. I am a Christian. I believe in God. I am full-fledged Christian here. But I don't judge others on their religion. Listen, I'm open. If somebody talks about what they feel or how they feel or whatever, I will never tell you, oh, you're wrong.
Absolutely
Because
great.
listen, I will never do that because as a Christian,
You're
I don't believe
supposed to
that's
be
wrong.
nice. That's the point of Christianity.
No, no, it's not about being nice.
Well, not nice
It's
per
just,
se. It's in the greater sense of being nice, that you have a certain degree of respect for each other.
yeah.
And that
But,
really is kind of the point, you know. And
yeah.
add to that, the one key thing about religion is that it isn't science. We don't know. We believe it's right. So, for all I know, you're right and I'm not, or I'm right and you're not. It's my belief, but I have to respect that you might be different.
I would love to know that there's something out there
Well,
that
that,
makes
yeah,
more sense than that.
true.
That is probably a wrong thing I'm saying. That's
I don't
like
know. I think it's fair.
I'm hoping there's something that makes more sense than what I'm thinking at this point in life.
Well, let's direct your attention then to, has the government ever tried to make underwater bases? Any
Don't
any
know.
government? The answer is, well,
There are
number
people
one.
living with it now.
Number one. The United States Navy was involved in underwater living explorations, at least thereof, throughout the 20th century. The only remaining operational government-owned underwater habitat is the Aquarius, located at the Florida Keys, which is used for marine science and saturation diving training. But they did try it. France, you probably have heard of the scuba gear, yes, which actually was an invention, in part at least, by the famous marine explorer Jacques Cousteau. Now, Jacques Cousteau invented the aqualung, literally. And he, with government support, established the underwater village, the Conshelf projects in the Red Sea, as well as a couple of other locations in the 1960s, allowing what they called aquanauts to live and work underwater for extended
No.
periods. This is
That
genuine.
happened.
It's real.
No, for real. Did it actually happen?
Yes, this is genuine stuff that they really, really did.
Well, there are currently people who are underwater, but not permanently. It's just for some of them for
No.
months
Yes,
at a time.
yes. But they really did do it. They made an underwater habitat.
It's insane.
Yeah, there's currently one. I just searched it, and there's a research base where people are living in, and not just that, submarines as well.
Correct. We're getting to that. We're also getting to what KG is talking about, the secrets of the Illuminati. We're coming to that. You have to hold on because it's coming. There's more. It gets weirder. Do not worry.
Sorry. Sorry
What?
about that.
Why are you sorry?
No, because we're getting overexcited. I was like,
Okay, it gets better. There are a number of private firms in Japan, such as the Shimizu Corporation, that are developing underwater cities as well. There are no specific construction plans yet, but they're working on it so that they can make it possible for long-term underwater living, not just medium sort of few months. We're talking like years now. So that's what they're working on. Now, we know that, as was pointed out by Spooky correctly, the current military thinking is not cities or bases underwater, but rather to create underwater vehicles, both manned and unmanned, that are far more effective than the current sort. So better submarines.
Oh,
That's where it's going at the moment.
no, I see.
So they say. However, let us go on because we are talking conspiracies and stuff as well. So as we progress, we now need to talk about the other underwater things. So the problems, as we say, are a number of different things, not the least of which, if you're going to go down deep enough, even if you can make it strong enough, even if you can make enough food, cool, the problem is having enough air to breathe, because we do need air to breathe, which is one issue, and it will run out, which is a problem. So you need a way to get the air down, or to get the air out of water, because there is oxygen in water. So there is that. We need to figure a way to keep supplying enough clean, drinkable water and food, get rid of waste products and toxins, and deal with the problem of biological containment. Because if one person gets sick down there, you're all getting it, because you're in a contained unit. So there are issues, which they are working on, to be fair. They have designed a lot of theoretical things. Most of it isn't feasible at present, just so we know. You can do short term, absolutely. The Soviets did plan the Bentos 300, which was supposed to be a movable underwater thing that you could stay in for months and months, but it didn't really come off properly. So it is not being put into actual use in any way. So you would need to either have a floating structure, like the Sea Orbiter, okay, theoretically good, you can get air, etc., etc., or you need an accessed shaft to the surface. Problem with that is upper level storms and currents and so on and so forth. So that is a problem. It works in small things like the underwater restaurant Itha in the Maldives, or the Eilat restaurant, which closed in 2012, the Red Sea Star. Then you could have a semi-autonomous one. So it's down most of the time, but it occasionally comes up, like the Aquarius, Sea Lab, and Helgoland. The last version, which we cannot yet do, is fully autonomous. So creates its own air, creates its own energy, creates its own food, deals with all of that kind of thing. But it's an issue. It gets very complicated. We won't go into it. But those are your thoughts. Now, concerning the ocean, where do the conspiracy theories come in? And this is all for you, Spooky. So we have a number. Yes, well, he brought it up. So the first one is the Bermuda Triangle. Okay. Is it real? Does it have some kind of real influence that causes planes to vanish? Is it a portal to another world? Is it got some kind of giant sea monster that drags things down? The theories are weirder and weirder as you go along. A lot of serious pilots, both of boats and of planes, have said that there is some kind of electromagnetic interference that does affect your instruments. But on the other hand, that could be a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily mean that aliens are hiding down there, or so there is that. On the other hand, they do say that something like, or possibly the original Atlantis, is under there, and the reason that things vanish is because they don't want to be found, and therefore, according to one theory, that's where Atlantis is. And there's a couple of other cities which also show similar issues around the world. So maybe that's how they hide themselves. One example of a underwater city that has since failed is the Yonaguni Monument, which looks like an ancient man-made structure. However, science says that it's a natural formation, and that's rubbish. So, but these are conspiracies. You may believe them, you may not believe them, but this is what people say. Then, of course, you have the famous Hollow Earth. Now, you remember the cartoon movie Atlantis?
I don't think I watched that one, actually.
Oh, it was well worth watching. It was pretty good. The Atlantis in that is not only under the water, but it's also inside the earth in a cave under the water, which is one version that the real secret places are in the hollow earth. And that's where it is. Yes, so there's the hollow earth theory. So you have inner world civilizations and other races inside the earth. And this has been a theory going on for centuries because
I can imagine.
the original, I forget who the author was. Oh, Jules Verne did a whole story, Journey to the Center of the Earth, which was, yeah, there was literally that.
Yeah. It must all have something to do with, the Little Mermaid and all that, I'm sure.
Well, yes,
Right.
they tie in and people come up with all sorts. Now, the other thing is that the reason deep sea life is so weird, and we've discovered that it is because actually the portals to the parallel worlds are under the water. And sometimes creatures from those worlds get through.
For sure, yeah.
Because they say that for the science behind it, science, I'm not saying it's real, is that you need to be at least around water for the portals to open. So undersea portals to parallel universes would kind of make sense if that's true.
Yeah. Sure.
Have you ever heard of Thonus Heraclean?
Say that one again.
Thonus Heraclean.
No.
It's a sunken city.
Where?
I'll tell you now. It was discovered in the 18th century BC. No. Some interesting images.
Okay.
Lots of lots of cool
you're
things.
talking about Heraklion.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so that's one of the things that we are actually going to talk about tonight. Now, there are a number of theories about it. One is that it actually was originally above the sea, but a major continental shift and mudslide caused it to sink beneath the ocean. So this is a city that's just off the coast of Egypt that was spoken of as a real place for many centuries, and everyone knew it didn't exist because there was no ruins, there was no nothing. It couldn't have existed because we would have found it. Only then one day they did find it and were like, oh shit, it did exist. So clearly it was above water at a point. But now it's below the water. So the fact that it's called Heraklion implies that there was a heavy Greek influence there, which means it was probably above water around the time of Cleopatra, for example. You know, Cleopatra, though she was an Egyptian queen, was Greek.
Yeah.
Yes, so the Greeks were very, very important in the area for quite a bit of time in that regard. So, yes. And you will find... Yes, so that statue, if you look close, you'll see it's got a very Greek look to it. And that's because it is. It is quite literally Greek. Heraklion literally means the city of Hera, the goddess Hera. So it was a city in honor of Hera. And it really, really does exist. And it is pretty amazing.
That's pretty interesting.
So in terms of the ocean, one of the key things we've discovered is that there really is shit down there. And what we know the continents to be wasn't always the case.
No, you can't really trust anything.
Yes, the land does change. Now, moving along with this, the other conspiracy theories to talk about is that the governments actually manipulate the weather in order to achieve certain things and to test things. So well, if they don't, it's because they can't. Because if they could, they would. Let's say that. So they say hurricanes have been used. So Hurricane Milton was artificially created. But scientists say, no, we don't have that technology. On the other hand, I could argue that they would, wouldn't they? I mean, if it's secret technology, they're not going to admit to it. Now,
I wouldn't you?
The other thing is that there are geoengineering efforts, like how to create weather. So if I want it to rain more over my fields, I can literally make it happen. So there is that argument. Is it true? Well, cloud seeding is something scientists have tried. We know that. So to a certain degree, it's true.
I'm not trying to be like... But this is kind of like... it's a lot to discuss on the channel.
True.
No, I'm not trying to take you in the face, kind of like... You know, a lot of people are going to be like... But yeah, anyway.
I think that it's the kind of thing that scientists would certainly like to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm sorry, don't think I was trying to take you in the face and be like...
But I'm going to also point out that we know for fact in the past the government of varying countries have covered up things that they've been doing that they denied at the time. So it's certainly not outside the idea. Let's say that.
If you're comfortable discussing what's happening, then it's all great. I just didn't...
Oh, of course, we can discuss anything.
I just didn't want you getting into anything that's not...
Well, we're doing conspiracies, and a great many of these conspiracies are...
And the problem is people are picking on the wrong thing this is. So.
Well, we're not saying any of it's true. Throwing it out there. Absolutely.
But I'm just there. I'm just being there and be like...
Yes, on certain of them, let's just say I wouldn't be shocked.
There you go. Awesome.
So yes, the Hollow Earth theory, which they immediately say has been proved not true, But nevertheless, it is a theory that's out there. Huge thanks for those likes, by the way, guys. Lots and lots of likes. We love them. I mean, we've got 8 whole people on, and
Wow.
two have interacted. And I know there's a lot more behind the scenes. So come on, guys.
Come people, let's do some.
Okay, so conspiracy theories about aliens in the oceans. Now, they mainly focus on what they call USOs. So you've heard of a UFO, which is an unidentified flying object. Well, a USO is an unidentified submerged object. And these could relate to secret underwater bases, strange giant creatures, or aliens. So right at the top of our list of conspiracies people have are literally underwater alien bases. The core theory suggests aliens are here, but they're aquatic and they're living in our oceans. And they are using the water pressures and darkness and so on to hide. Now, funnily enough, I take you back to weird things in Africa that we did quite a bit back with the Dogon people. Now, the Dogon are not massively scientifically advanced as a group. They're pastoralists, very nice people with actually a really nice life. But in terms of massive science, they don't have it. However, what they do have is knowledge of star systems that we've only actually started to prove exist now that we've got really powerful telescopes, because you can't see them. And the irritating thing about the Dogon people is that they're right. How do people who could not see these stars, nobody could, know exactly where they were? So, of course, people asked them, and they said, because of the Nommo. So people were like, who the hell are the Nommo? Well, the Nommo are aquatic aliens that came from what we call the star system Sirius, which taught the Dogon about the star systems, and currently are residing under the water in our oceans. So mermaids are real, according to the Dogon. They are described the way we would describe mermaids. The star systems that are out there are real, and they are described perfectly. But they've now been proved correct about the stars, which leads us to question, are they correct about the Nommo? Just throwing it out there. I'm not saying it's true. However,
apparently all freaking mermaids there. That's great.
Well, all I'm saying is this is a bunch of people that don't live that near the sea, that are not in any way navigators or sailors or anything like that. They herd cattle, by and large. That's it. But they know about the existence of stuff that major scientific countries, first world with massive telescopes, have only just discovered. And they've known about them for centuries.
I just read some stuff and it hurts my brain.
Go for it.
The indigenous people in Australia.
Yes.
How the hell did they get there?
Well, one theory, which I quite like, is that originally there was a land bridge. Remember, one of my favorite current theories is the fact that if you had an ice age, that water's got to come from somewhere, and it will come from the ocean. There will be a lot more land exposed than there currently is, which means that it's eminently possible that they could have walked there back in the day.
On land, not on ice.
Well, either or. it's a possibility.
Okay. Because apparently they've got evidence of humans on Australia 65,000 years ago.
Yes. But if you have a cyclic nature to the universe that, or to the world that goes ice age, massive flood with global warming, ice age, massive flood with global warming, there are going to be times when there are land bridges between places that here and now in our time, there are no land bridges because our geography is currently in the middle between an ice age and a fully globally warmed Earth, if that makes sense.
The water is still rising.
It is still rising, so we're heading for the hot period. After the hot period, all the ice caps will melt, the sea will rise by approximately 2.5 meters, and we will have what is technically an earth flood, just like is talked about in the Bible and in many other cultures. Then slowly the ice caps will start reforming, the sea will retreat, and a lot more land will be exposed again.
Did you hear about what Elon Musk said Bill Gates said during the week about global warming?
What did he say?
Well, he's now debunking it. He's leaving it. He
Well,
used to be
he did,
big
yes.
against it.
My theory in that regard really is that it's not that it's not true. It's just it's a natural thing that happens.
Yes.
We might well be speeding it up by our actions. I won't argue that. Because
I
we
would
are
say
dumb and we
our
do
impact
things
is
like
very
that. But what I'm saying is it is a natural phenomenon that goes in cycles.
Yeah, it's been happening all the time
Yes.
since the beginning now.
Which means that in a certain way, while it might not be exactly the way the stories go, Noah's Ark story was true in a sense. It did happen. It might not have been one family sent by God, because that's now religiousized the whole thing. But it could very, very well have been a major flood event that people survived. Because if you look at a lot of different cultures around the world, they all say there was one. They don't say it covered everything. They say it covered everything except for the really high ground. And some people made it and a lot of people didn't. And that's the difference.
You think Noah he just kept his eyes open and saw that the flood is coming, or
No,
God actually warned
shit.
him?
Come on, huh? No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be funny. Noah is not keeping his eye open or whatever.
Well, what if they had greater technology back then than we gave them credit for, and they figured it out?
He
We
would tell
we
his
we have
family.
seen the Antikythera device. They had
Listen,
ways of predicting. Would he tell his family? Well, one of the
of course,
key.
he would
No,
tell
but hold
everything
on.
going goofy.
He did
Sorry.
tell people. It is recorded in Genesis that people laughed at him. He told them. And when they all said, "You're an idiot," he said, "Okay," and went and sorted himself out after that. We know in a lot of the flood myths, people did see it coming, and some managed to get boats or whatever and get to the high ground. But with it, didn't only come slowly rising waters, there were violent storms and tidal waves. So even some that
sadly-
made it to the boats didn't make it.
But sadly, like I respect everything you're saying, but sadly, all this that's happening is like exactly what was happening back then. people are fighting. They don't believe what's happening.
Exactly.
They think, and we're all gonna be fighting for a place on that ship.
Well, we won't, because
No, we
you
won't, because we know.
you two and me are on the southern portion of Africa, which has an elevation going up thousands of feet. We're
People are
okay.
Yeah, but people are like, they're not getting the freaking idea here.
Well, that's fine. It means that eventually the world will belong to us.
Yeah, that's okay. Like
Yeah.
what you're saying is all good. But still, it says, it makes me feel kind of like gaggy, because I'm like,
Well, yes, it is sort of sad. But there you are. That's one of the stories. Is
don't-
any of it true? I have no clue at all.
let's not even go there anymore, because
Am I
Everyone's
depressing you?
no, every time I talk about all this with you, I gag, because there's so much. There's so much. And it's just like, it cannot.
Okay, so here we go. Along with that is the favorite, as we've said, underwater hybrid peoples that are human alien or human fish of some variety, whatever you want to call it, mermaid, that do live there. These are very popular conspiracy theories.
I know, but you gotta be so careful what you ask me these days now, because I get a little bit like Google.
We also have to talk about USOs. Now, what are
I did
USOs?
send you a really cool thing about UFOs.
Well, I will definitely go and read it. But USOs, many of the stories about them actually come from military personnel, not from, yes.
Oh, really?
So people on submarines that are deployed in the militaries say they see objects or things that defy known physics in their speed,
Oh, shit.
maneuverability, their ability to transfer between air and water,
Oh, great.
leading to the speculation that it's non-human technology. Now,
Oh.
the US has admitted that they are working on what they call transient vehicles, which actually is really, really cool. Okay, so what is a transient vehicle? A transient vehicle is a vehicle which can move between sea, land, and air without needing a different vehicle. The same vehicle can fly, go underwater, or drive on land. Now, obviously, from a military perspective, if you have something like that, it would be amazing. It would be really useful, especially if you could armor it. So,
Like,
right off bat, that I'm absolutely certain, not just the
that
US.
would be great, but like, yeah. Anyway, carry on. I'm not gonna.
Well, there are challenges to it. And I'm sure not only the US are trying to make it, but there are reports from military personnel that say that there are such vehicles out there, but nobody that we know has that technology, which implies somebody else has that technology.
Yeah.
I
Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
The other
see it's
USO,
actually a big problem, and there's been thousands of cases of unidentified submersible objects,
yes.
and the US is really scared of it because they don't know what it is.
Well, if it's not them, they don't want anyone else having it.
Oh no, of course not.
Now,
Yeah,
I can tell you that I have seen a bi-transitional vehicle. And that was when I was in the military. We had one.
no.
Okay, now it couldn't fly, but it could go on water and on land. So it couldn't submerge, but it was halfway, if you want, between a boat and a car. And we had one. And it worked really, really well. You literally drive it into the water and keep driving, and you just keep going. And you drive out the other side and you keep going. And as a vehicle, it's incredibly valuable and maneuverable. Okay, so the idea is sound. But to be able to get it to go underwater is another story. And to be
Is it
able to,
harder to detect stuff underwater than in the air?
you would need different equipment.
Because
And
apparently the underwater unidentified objects are a bigger threat than the flying ones.
yes, the problem is that with the ocean, there's a heck of a lot of interference, which means it's hard. I might easily tell that something is coming, but it's hard to tell what exactly is coming. So how do I know if it's a friend or an enemy until it's too late? Because visibility ain't great down there. You see, these are issues that, I don't want to blow up my friend.
Yeah, for sure. No, man.
So you have got problems.
But some of the objects, even they move way too fast.
Well, this is the thing. Now, they
Trying to
say
shoot
that,
it down isn't going to work.
yeah, there is a problem. Now, a major component of some of these theories claim that especially the US government and the Pentagon are aware of alien presences, especially in the oceans, and they're covering up all of this. Why they're covering it up is another question, but the conspiracy theories say they are covering it up. Is it true? Well, I don't know. We are going to get to that, so hold that thought. We do know that there were the famous Tic Tac encounters. So in 2004 on the USS Nimitz, the Tic Tac UFO incident occurred where there were sightings of something tracked on radar that initially was flying, dropped below the ocean surface, and then reappeared after back into the air after it managed to pass the ship's visual sight. So they tracked it on radar but couldn't see what it was. Couldn't physically see it. It was moving way too fast and erratically. Before it came into eyeball vision, it went underwater, bypassed the battleship, popped out into the air again and shot off. So they saw it only on radar, but don't know what it was.
It's aliens. What were they doing?
Well, that's one of the problems. Now, this is a report from a US battleship, where you would assume that the people in charge are not crazy folk and they're not on drugs and they know what they're doing and they're fairly serious people. So the fact that they were worried about it means that we should probably be worried about it. Now we're going to talk about the next weird thing, which is and you can look this up, it's real, the Baltic Sea anomaly. Discovered in 2011, it's a strange shaped formation on the floor of the Baltic Sea that looks like a crashed alien spacecraft. It's too deep to get to easily, and scientists dismiss it as a natural geological function. But nobody's gone near it. So why haven't they gone near it? Well, the scientists say, no, it's rubbish. It's just a natural formation. We're not interested. Or are they, and they're not telling us? Because it looks a great deal like a spaceship. So I don't know. Now, the other really weird thing is that there are certain places, as we saw when we did our UFO thing, where you always seem to see UFOs, okay, flying objects, which implies that under the water there might be USOs. So there is that. Mickey vanished. I hope she's all right.
Maybe her phone died.
Could be. So we've got hotspots. The coastline of California and Florida, Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, which is very, very deep, the Solomon Islands, the Bermuda Triangle. Quite a number of these places seem to be serious hotspots for recurring UFO and USO activity. And local legends and conspiracy theories say that there are absolutely alien operations in these regions. Now, the problem with these conspiracy theories is you can't really disprove them, because over 80% of Earth's oceans are unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. So all scientists can really say is, don't be silly, that doesn't exist. But they can't prove it doesn't exist because they haven't gone to look.
So if it's aliens, what do you think they are doing?
Well, one argument is they are living here and they're quite happy to do so. Others say that we are the experiment and they are observing us. I don't know. If they are mermaid-type aliens, maybe they're just living there because that's the environment they live in. They have no interest in us. It's all about them. We're just like stuff that's on shore where we don't want to go.
They don't like breeding?
Well, if they are mermaid-type creatures, they would be adapted to their environment.
But wouldn't there be billions of them?
I don't know. How often do aliens breed? What is the life cycle of an alien? I don't know. Maybe they don't breed. Maybe they simply create another them when it's needed.
But if they stay here, then they're not really aliens.
No, they're colonizers.
Oh.
So the Bermuda Triangle. Alien abductions, lost city of Atlantis, supernatural forces, all kinds of things. Science immediately has said that, no, it's environmental factors and human error are more likely to cause the disappearances. More likely, i.e. they don't know. So, one conspiracy theory is aliens abduct people, or there is an alien Stargate there, so it's used as a waypoint for traveling around the universe. There's one answer for you. Others say that actually Atlantis is there, and their crystal-powered pyramid on the seabed causes the malfunctions, or they're deliberately defending.
Is possible?
Theoretically, it is.
Using quantum physics.
Well, even the concept of electrons within your protons and neutrons seems to imply that transfer between 2 points is possible through dematerialization. Just like, funnily enough, because it was actually based on real science, believe it or not, Star Trek, where they transport a room. The guys that wrote the original Star Trek were scientists, genuine scientists. So a lot of their theories are based on things that are at least theoretically correct. So there you are.
We're
Others,
using space warp and not wormholes.
well, yes, that's the theory. Or maybe a combination of both. Now, the other conspiracy theories is either it's sea monsters, very popular, a parallel universe, reasonable, or if you want, demonic forces. Maybe. Maybe that's where the demons get in. Science says no, it's geographical weather, human error, and the possibility of methane gas that may erupt, causing the ships to lose buoyancy and sink suddenly. It seems a bit weird. Now, the idea of the Bermuda Triangle was coined in 1964 by Vincent Gaddis, and in his book in 1974, Charles Berlitz made it popular as a term. Is it real? Who's to say? There are a number of lots of very good books on the subject that absolutely catch the imagination. Some of them sound really realistic. Are any of them real? Science says no. Folklore says yes. There is no real evidence, but all science actually said is that there's just as many disappearances in other parts of the ocean. Thanks, that makes me feel better. Great. So it's not just one spot where the aliens are taking us, it's everywhere. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful person, Mr. Scientist. So, yeah, great. Throwing it out there. Moving along. Where exactly is the Bermuda Triangle or the Devil's Triangle? Well, if you take the tip of the panhandle from what is essentially, I believe, Texas. It's in the bottom area. Florida and the Florida Keys are that little panhandle over the top edge of the Gulf of Mexico. So if you take the tip of that panhandle, which includes a lot of the Florida Keys, and you go all the way out to Puerto Rico, and then all the way up to Bermuda, that makes the triangle, which is called the Bermuda Triangle. So that's where it is, in case you're wondering.
You said Gulf of Mexico, but they changed the name.
Yes, they did. Which is kind of dumb. Modern politics. It's now the Gulf of America. Because we rule the world. Now, one really interesting thing is that the famous Sargasso Sea, which we will talk about at some stage, is right there, in case you're wondering. And the Sargasso Sea is an incredibly dense, almost impenetrable area populated by Sargasso kelp, which is really thick and could hide just about anything. So there you are. Just throwing it out there, that's where it is. It's a weird sort of place. Now, there's been a lot of criticism of the idea of the Bermuda Triangle, and there's been a lot of people pointing out things along the lines of, well, if it's all rubbish, where is that plane? So, it's a back and forth.
Do people fly there?
Apparently, people don't fly over it much for various reasons. Partly because of meteorological interference that goes in that area for the safety of people. We're not saying anything happens, but we avoid it just in case. We're not saying the dog bites, but we're keeping it locked up.
Yeah.
So we have that. Now, Atlantis per se, was there ever a city called Atlantis? Well, that's very, very, very specific. And there are a number of other names for cities that could either be underwater or have fallen underwater in varying cultures. We just are familiar with the name Atlantis. So you've got Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, Dwarka, which is in the Mahabharata from India, Is from Breton and Celtic legend, Kizek from Russian legend. So there's a number of different cities with different names. We just tend to refer to Atlantis because that's kind of the one that we know. Interestingly, though, Kitev, the Russian one, is under the Lake Svetloyar. When the Mongol horde attacked in the 13th century, the city's inhabitants refused to fight and instead prayed to God, and the entire city sank under the lake, saving it, and it's never ever come again. But if you're there on a very quiet night, you might hear the sound of its bells. Then you've got Llys Helig from the Welsh legend, where Prince Helig ap Glanarg was submerged under the sea in what is now Cardigan Bay due to a maid's actions at a great feast. And the palace ruins can be seen at low tide. They don't say what the maid's actions were, but it sounds intriguing. Don't laugh. Dwarka from the Mahabharata is a city founded by Krishna, and when Krishna left the world, the city was submerged into the Arabian Sea. We do know that there is a modern-day city of Dwarka, that's very real, but it's modern. Archaeological excavations that off the coast of where Dwarka is are the remains of a sunken city. So, I'm just saying, is it true? Well, it's there. How true must it be to be true? I don't know.
Probably a lot more cities that we don't know of that has
Right?
been sunken.
Absolutely. Now, we know that people have always been fascinated by what lies beneath. And one popular story that a lot of people believe is that the lost city of Cthulhu is down there. Unfortunately, Cthulhu was entirely invented by an author who wanted to create a sort of universal horror, and he succeeded in doing it. The actual place doesn't exist and never did, and neither does Cthulhu. It's not real. However, the Hydra is said to be down there. Dagon. Dagon's a good one. Now, Lovecraft created Cthulhu, but Dagon, on the other hand, actually comes from a much older religion that may be speaking of their god or something else. So Dagon was a genuine god from Babylonian Mesopotamia. Is he down there? I suppose it depends on whether or not you believe in their religion. Various forms of the Loch Ness or similar things have been seen all over the world, basically a plesiosaur. Could they be there? Well, we know that they were real. They did exist. Added to that is we know that there are certain places where there is natural radiation which does cause ocean gigantism. Ocean gigantism is where you get an ordinary creature that, because of interference through naturally occurring radiation, they just grow frickin' huge. So the idea of massive crabs, massive sharks, massive squids, it's all possible. It's not entirely unrealistic. It could have happened. Did it? Well, we're not saying it did, but how many people have told stories around the world of basically a kraken? I mean, so many unrelated cultures have done so. Could there be kraken down there? Well, science actually kind of does say maybe, which is worrying. And we do know that giant squid are carnivorous. So there's that, just to terrify you. The Maori speak of taniwa, which basically means shark, but refers specifically to a kind of really, really, really giant shark. Now, we know there are two great whites that science have proved exist that are at least 6 meters long. How big do you need a shark to be? I mean, that is more than big enough to eat you. It's bigger than Jaws in the movie Jaws. Just throwing it out there. So, yeah. Could there be sirens? They say that. Could there be Ningen? A giant megalodon? Yes, possible. They're all reasonable stories. We know that the story of Moby Dick was based on a genuine, real whale that did exist. And it was huge, and it was pale, and it attacked ships. It was an absolutely genuine thing that did happen. So, yeah. I think it's fair to say that things like Jormungur doesn't exist, because that's from Norse mythology and it's supposed to be big enough to circle the world. That I think we would have noticed, daft as we are. So we're probably okay there. But kraken, all of that, megalodons, yeah, no, it's realistic. It could be. There's no doubt in my mind that it could definitely be. What about parallel universes? How realistic is that? Well, it is true to say that all stories of ways through to another side do seem to be around water in one way or another. So if you're going to get them, I would say the ocean does seem to be the most commonly understood place. We do know that the ocean is not properly explored, that places, more than one, like the Bermuda Triangle exist. A lot of mythologies say that the way to the other side is under the water or under the ocean. We know that there are very unique self-contained ecosystems under the oceanic crust that get their energy from chemical reactions rather than sunlight, some of which are almost entirely silicone in their life form. So really, really, really weird what's down there. So could they come from another place, another world? Well, I suppose it's not unreasonable. And every time that science says, science doesn't work like that, my answer is the duck-billed platypus, which is a mammal that is toxic with spikes, lays an egg, and is largely aquatic. None of which fits to what any one of those traits are supposed to be on in an animal. So clearly, Mother Nature does what she likes, not what scientists say are natural. Now, I do have a question. Why do we spend so much of our science on getting into space if so much of the ocean is not explored? And the answer, weirdly enough, is by and large it's easier to go to space than to get down into the depths of the ocean. The photic zone, i.e. the bit of the ocean that light penetrates, is freaking shallow. It doesn't get down. It gets dark down there. Any kind of electromagnetic radiation does not penetrate the ocean well, which means radios won't work down there. Radar can't get very deep. None of that stuff works. So you can't just point a telescope at the ocean and see what's down there like you can at space. So the real reason is it's virtually impossible to do. Just saying, we don't have the technology to explore all of our own planet. We know that there are things down there that are frickin' weird, as we have discovered from our exploration of it. We know that there is such a thing as marine snow, which is basically protein things that has sunk down that these creatures live on. And then there are predators that live on the things that live on the marine snow. So there's life there, and some of them are huge, and some of them are freaky. So getting there might be bad enough. Once you've got there, it's not going to make it any easier when you've got things that can eat you in a single mouthful. Just saying. The fact that anglerfish are the size of a VW Beetle doesn't make anything better. Now let's talk about specific places that really could be weird, because not only is it very deep, what about underneath the ice shelf? We've said that there's land under the North Pole, but not under the South Pole. What's underneath there where it's so cold? What's down in the Mariana Trench? What's hidden in the Greenland coral reefs, or in Horizon Deep in the Tonga Trench? We don't have answers. Scientists have generously, this is them saying it, I'm quoting from an article, generously estimated that 91% of ocean species have not yet been found.
How many?
91%.
So much.
I'm just saying there, they say that every year almost 2,000 marine species are added to the register. That's incredible. It just shows how little that we know.
The ocean is big.
It's 70% of the surface of the earth, to be fair.
And
It
goes
is big.
deeper than our highest mountains.
Well, they reckon around 10,000 meters. Which
Meters.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Which is
made about 10
bloody deep.
kilometers.
You know, that's really, 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 really deep. If you went down there, you would be flat. Like single cell flat because of the pressure.
It's probably very hard to communicate with somebody.
Oh, you couldn't.
No.
I mean, that's the problem. Not with our technology as we stand.
Light probably don't reach there.
Now,
Try and take a big torch and point it down there, you're not going to really see anything.
no, you won't. Light can't penetrate. It just doesn't. Not even the sun. Now, we've got a lot more conspiracy to go through, but we are out of time. So we're going to pick up the second half tomorrow, which is going to be interesting, I think. And yes, some of them get weirder. But until then, the sea is truly terrifying, even from what we know is real. What we don't know makes it even more terrifying. And with that wonderful thought, I am a good 8 hours from the coast and therefore am safe. And I am going to say good night. Sleep deep, sleep sweet, but especially if you're near the coast, sleep with one eye open, because that webbed hand might reach out and lay a clammy finger upon your ankle. Good night.
No. Have a good night.
Cheers, cheers.